Hello and welcome to the Business Debate. I'm Nadira Tudor and today we'll be talking about the pension sector. In 2014, the Chancellor George Osborne announced sweeping reforms of the UK's pension system. These changes are the most dramatic changes to pensions policy for a generation. These reforms will change the way that people view and use their pension pots. Instead of a guaranteed income for life, your pension will depend on a pot of assets and how they perform. The new changes give savers more options as pensions can now be used more flexibly, subject to tax and certain other restrictions. Investment group Architas, part of the global AXA Group, manages over £20 billion of people's money, helping investors to meet their individual investment goals. To discuss what these new options mean for savers, we're joined in the studio by Cedric Bucher, Head of Architas UK Funds. Welcome to the London Stock Exchange studios.
Hello.
Can you give me a quick overview of the key changes that are going to affect the pension sector in the UK?
Yes, so before the pension changes, savers at retirement could take out 25% of their pensions pot tax-free. The remainder was taxed at 55%, and the options available were very restricted. And as a result, 3/4 of savers at retirement ended up buying an annuity. The new regime now is much more flexible. Savers can still take out 25% tax-free. The remainder, if they want to take it out, is taxed at the marginal income tax rate. And if they take their money out, and in all circumstances, there are many more options available to those savers at retirement. And that impacts about 300,000 savers every year who approach retirement.
What are the different choices available to those who are nearing or are at retirement?
There are 4 options. The first one is to spend it, take all the money out, subject to tax, and spend the money to pay down one's mortgage, buy property for the children, pay for weddings, etc. The second option is to invest or keep the money invested. Most people, in employment at least, will have a defined contribution scheme, and they can just keep that running throughout retirement and potentially take income through what's called a drawdown solution. The third option is, as it was before, to buy an annuity, which effectively buys someone a fixed interest for life. And the fourth option, which is interesting, is a combination of the first 3 options, so spending, investing or buying an annuity.
So many options there. So what do people need to consider to determine the best option for them?
I think before looking at actual what they should do, the first step is to look at one's finances and create a financial plan and look at what the required spending is per year for ongoing spend, one-off spend, potentially a cash bucket for unexpected spend. And on the other hand, look at what savings are available. How big is the pension pot? Is there an ISA there? Are there other sources of income, for instance, from a buy-to-let property? And then look at those two and then go through those options, spending, investing, buying an annuity or a combination thereof.
Can you give me examples of the range of options that savers should consider?
Yes, I think the first consideration, and an important one, is that relationship between risk and return. So the financial plan will result in a required income, which effectively means a required return from someone's investment. And that is linked to then a certain amount of risk. So the higher the required income, the more risk someone needs to take. And that might feel very uncomfortable. But the flip side is if someone leaves their pension pot in cash, it just doesn't generate enough income for that spend that has been assessed in the financial plan. And I think that's the first really part of the journey to get the right balance between risk and return. There are instruments out there that help with managing risk and mitigating risks, and a very well-known strategy of diversification, which effectively means not putting all your eggs in one basket. And such a diversified investment portfolio effectively will hold the different types of financial instruments or shares, fixed interest holdings, as well as property. And importantly, those holdings will be globally diversified. So there might be shares from Coca-Cola, from Apple, from BP. There might be fixed interest instruments issued by governments, such as the UK, the Brazilian or the US government, as well as corporations, such as Coca-Cola, for instance. And such a diversified portfolio is much better placed to absorb individual shocks to segments, industries, countries or markets. And again, it sounds quite complicated, but there are actually products out there that build such diversified portfolios, and investors can have one single holding that gives them such a portfolio. These products are typically called multi-asset or multi-manager investment funds.
What's your key message to those that are retiring now?
I think the key message is to start thinking about retirement and build a financial plan, and then assess whether one's comfortable building that retirement plan oneself or seeking financial advice.
Thank you very much for joining us in the studio.
You're welcome.